This is a tutorial of the game Beyond the Sun, as played on Board Game Arena. Beyond the Sun is sometimes called Tech Tree, the game. It is a game where you are taking actions and building up somewhat of an engine in order to discover new technologies and new abilities, and also to colonize and take over various planets that come up and are available. The game has these overall achievement cards that are slightly different each game, and once 4 of these achievements are met by any player, so it could be one person, each player gets 1 achievement, or one person gets 4. As soon as 4 uh, achievements are met, the achievement is met 4 times, the game will end, and whoever has the highest score wins. The primary way that you get these achievements is by moving up on this tech tree, especially getting up to this level 4 research, or colonizing these different planets. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the basic actions, some of the things that you'll run into on a normal turn-by-turn basis and how a turn structure goes. Then we're going to go into 2 examples of some of the 2 large events that will happen. That is, first, the discovery of a level 2 or level 3 technology, because there's a few things that go into that, including events, or the colonizing of a planet, and we'll talk about what that means as well. First, I do want to apologize for the visual here. This is the only setting that BGA gives you in terms of being able to see, and it is obviously very difficult to read any of this without hovering over. Fortunately, most everything, if you hover over it, it will say what it is, but there's no zoom option that I can find, and the text is just very small overall. So there may be times when I go into a more magnified view using Windows magnifier, but just so we can see things. But typically I'm just going to look at those pop-ups to kind of indicate what is happening. So on your turn, you will do 2 main things, and then if you can claim an achievement, you can do that as well. One is moving your action pawn to one of the empty spaces and taking that action. Then is doing a production. So every board has this kind of resource. Every player has this resource board where they get ore, where they have population, where they can produce ships to go out and fly around in these areas over here. And so each turn you will take an action somewhere on the tech tree, and then you will do some sort of production. And there's a few options for that. Note that you only have 1 action pawn, and so the way that this works is there will be those little hexagon spots, those that pop up each time. Anytime you see one of those, that is a place that you can put your action pawn. You cannot keep it in the same spot. You have to move it to another spot. It has to be an empty spot. So, like, for instance, if these 2 were filled by other players, you could not go here. There are a few cases where, and I'm going to zoom in for this, there's a little 1 ore on these 2 spots. So if these 2 parts were filled and you wanted to go and take this option, you would have to pay an ore to do so. That's what this little symbol is. There are a few spots like that, not too many. And then the other big important thing is, if there's a spot like here, there's 2 spots here, you can only go in these spots up along this tree if you have researched that technology. And you can tell if somebody's researched that technology based on the color cube that is there, this population cube. So right now we can see that purple has researched this technology, and green has researched this technology. So they do have access to these 2 options. So that is moving your pawn. You got to put it somewhere that doesn't have a place, or that's open. You have to move it. You can actually move it to the same action. Like if green were to go again and these two spots are open, they could just move it to one of the other open spots in here. But you can't stay in the exact same spot. This spot here is and you can move. Anybody can move in here. It's basically just like get some resources if you can't do anything else. But everything else has to have an open space, and you have to, if it's on this tech tree, you have to have researched it first before you are able to use those spots. So let's talk about the different actions. We'll start with these different basic actions. So this first one under the basic spacefaring is the research a level 1 action. You can see there's a little population cube guy, and it goes onto that symbol with a basically a single line down, as opposed to this where it has 2 lines. Those are the different levels. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4 levels of technologies. So for instance, down here it says research your first level 4 technology. That will give you a one of these achievements. But here is just research a level 1, and here's research a level 2. And this one, it costs you 2 ore to research a level 2 one. All right, so how do you research a technology? Well, you have to first have the prerequisites researched. Now these level 1s, everybody has access to those. But then when you get into these level 2s, you can see these different lines that go into them. And so for this one, you have to have this technology if you want to research this one. This one, you have to have this technology. And if you want to research this one, you have to have both this one and this one researched before you can research it here. Same with up here. You can see some of them require 2 prerequisites. Some of them, this one here, all you have to have is this level 1, and you can jump all the way to level 3. And then for these last ones, you have to have either both of these down here, 2 of these 3, or 2 of these 3 researched in order to research that last one. But for the level 1s, you don't have to have any prereqs. You just have to choose this option or some other option that lets you do that research action. And you also have to have 1 population that you can put there. That's these people cubes right here. They're all the same cubes in the physical game. They just have different sides to them. They have the people side, this kind of box side where if it's stored on your board and not turned into anything, that's what it looks like. There is and then there are 4 different ship values. And then ore is just a physical resource that you have separate from that. So if I went here, which both of these blue or green and purple did, and I think I did too. So yep, I went here, and then I went and researched this technology here. Now there are 2 different kind of ways that these work. Some of them will give you those options to those new spots, but then some of them will just give you an immediate action. So when I went here, I immediately do an automate action, and I turn one of my boxes into a new population. Whenever you do that action of turning a box into a population, you take your leftmost box on your leftmost column and you change it, you pull it off of here, and you turn it into a population, and you have that now accessible. The automate lets you remove either one of these disks or one of these disks. And as you remove those disks, your production becomes more productive. You get more out of your production phase. As you uncover these, so like you go from left to right, and once I uncover this, anytime I produce ore, I would get 2 ore. Right now I would just get 1, but if I uncovered these 2, I would get 2 ore, and then eventually 3 and 4 and so forth, up to 5 ore if I got through all of these. These ones, whenever you get people instead of ore as your production, any column that has available cubes in it that has one of these open, so in this case it's just this one, but as soon as I uncover this, it would be both of these, then you would get population out of those columns. When they're gone, though, they are gone. So that is, the automate lets you start pulling these off, which gives you, it builds up your engine, right? It gives you that access to more production during your production phase. In fact, it did that automatically once I researched this. It gave me an extra population, took it from here, put it in my resources, took off the disk because this is specifically automating the top row with that symbol. And then after I've done my action, it lets me do a production phase. You have 3 options during your production phase, and you do it for every turn. So after you've done your action, you do production. You can either produce ore, and in this case I would just produce 1 ore. You could produce population, and in this case I would only produce 1 population because this column is over the open disk here, and that's all I have access to. As soon as this one comes up, if I produced population, I could get it from both of them. Or you can do a resource trade. The resource trades doesn't list them here. Let me pull it up real quick. Okay, so here's what it shows on the board for the research trade. It doesn't show it on this board just because it happens all up here. But basically, you can do either trading 3 ore for 1 person, and you just pull the person off of your board wherever it happens. Pull a cube off your board on the leftmost side. You could take 1 ore and turn one of your ships that happen to be over here into a person. Or you can take one of your people, put it back onto your board, and gain an ore. So this isn't used very often, but if you end up with just an overabundance of ore or way too many people and you don't need them, then you can do this resource trade, and you can do it as many times as you want, right? So if you just have buckets of ore and you really need a few people, you could trade 9 of your ore in and get 3 people. And the nice thing about that specifically is if some of these have been depleted in other ways and you haven't built up your automation, you can still pull them off of the ends here, even through that resource trade action. Again, it doesn't happen very often, but you should know that is an option, especially if you get way too much of one resource or another. Too many ships, too many ore, too many people. Okay, so that is the production phase. A turn and then a production. So let's talk about some of the other basic turns. We talked about researching level 1. We'll talk about level 2 and 3 in a little while. This action just lets you pay 2 ore to research a level 2 if you have the prerequisites. This is basically taking a person and turning it into a ship, and then doing some movement in the ship. So when you take this action, you'll take one of your population, turn him into a level 1 ship. Ships go from level 1 to 4, and then he will be put into, I believe, Soul. Yeah, because it will be Soul, but there are other shipyard systems here, these planets here, and if you control them, meaning you have the most ship power on those systems, you can also deploy ships directly to those as well. But this will let you take one guy, put him into turn him into a ship. You don't have to do that during this, but that's where you can do that. And then you can jump too. Jumping is what you would think is moving your ships along these lines. So if I wanted to move, I got my orange ship here, I could move him here and then here. If I had 2 ships, I could move one and then move the other. It doesn't matter what level the ships are. A jump is just moving it along one of these paths. You can see the various paths. We'll talk about why you move these around, a bit about control, but that is how you create and move ships around, is through this action and others like it. And then finally, I mentioned this action here. There's no limit on how many people can go here, or you can continue to go here, but it's kind of not the best action. There usually are better ones, but it does let you just gain one population and 1 ore, just without any requirement. So if you're just desperate and you need to get something, then you go there and you get the resources. There are these 4 here, and they kind of tell you, hey, these things are going to start happening, but these ones, I believe, none of them are currently available, but they become available as these technologies are uncovered. You don't know which technology will uncover these ones, but one of the level 2 technologies will uncover each of these tier 1 ones, and one of the level 3 technologies will uncover each of these level tier 2 options. But you can see they do extra things, like this one lets you pay 4 ore and a population, then to research a level 3 technology. You have to have the requirements. You have to have 2 people, one that you just get rid of, and one, and by get rid of meaning put back in your columns here, one that you just get rid of and one that you put on the technology itself. So it's much harder to do a level 3 than a level 2. It gets harder for each level. This one is for colonizing a star or system. We'll talk about that. This one basically lets you do a research of a level 1 plus a seafaring action without having to move your pawn to it. You just keep it here. This one lets you pay 6 or 2 people and then put a person on a level 4. So this is one way to do a research level 4. These won't be the only ways to do these options, but they will be available to everyone as soon as they are flipped over, which is nice because some of those other ones are kind of hidden within this tree and you wouldn't necessarily be able to get access to those. So to end my turn, we're doing the production phase. I think I take ore. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I took some ore for that. Or no, I took another person. I took another person for it. And then it moves on. Okay, we're going to skip a bit ahead because I want to show you what it looks like to research a level 2 or a level 3. And then we're going to talk more about the planets and how to colonize those planets. Okay, it's actually just the very next round. In this game, everybody did that first research action. They all researched different things. And green is going to research a level 2 item. Assuming, let's see, green are going to probably research this level 2 right here, because that's the only one they can with what they have, because they just have this prereq here. So they're going to pay 2 ore and research a level 2. So what happens when you research a level 2 or level 3 is first there is an event card. That's what's kind of in the physical version, that's what's face down here on this board. The event triggers, certain things happen, some of it's good, some of it's not as good. It just depends on what happens to be there. And then whoever is discovering it will get some choice as to what type of technology goes there based on these colors of these arrows. So they are researching a level 2. Here is the event that they are triggering. So in this case, they gain a population. That's the immediate event. And then they can choose to remove a tier 1 guild cover tile below. So this will let them, like I mentioned before, take one of these and remove it so that it becomes available to anybody to use. And so they decide to take this Professor's Guild off because it lets people research level 3 technologies. And then basically there's a stack of level 2 technologies, a stack of cards, and you'll look at the arrows that are coming into that technology. In this case it's just yellow, but in some cases, like if it were this one, it's blue or green. If you have an option, if it's blue or green, you get to choose blue or green, which type you want. In this case, it just has to be yellow. And the yellow then they will basically start flipping cards until a technology that has a yellow on the left, they'll usually have 2 different colors. But until they get 2 of the yellows, then those will appear, and they will have those options to make that the level 2 technology, which then applies to everyone going into that technology tree. So in this case, they could pick either this one where it lets them upgrade a ship by 1 level and then jump 2. When you research it, that's just the immediate effect, and then give the option of gaining a population and upgrading a ship by a level and then jumping 1. All right, so these higher level technologies are usually these basic actions, but done better. This one lets you pay to ore to research a level 3, right? Which is way cheaper than this Professor's Guild. You typically wouldn't get to produce at that when you use this, but it's still probably worth not having to pay 2 people and 4 ore to get a level 3. I'm not sure which one they pick. It looks like they picked that first one. They wanted to do a lot of ship work. All right, that is the level 2. Let's see if the next player does the same thing. So they go through, they research it, they get to immediately upgrade a ship. So they turned this ship into a 2 and they jumped over to here. Then they get to upgrade, they get a and then they don't actually go there. They just do that action and then they jump 2. So they moved 1 here and they moved 1 here. And since we're here, let's talk about moving to these planets. So as you can see, these planets, like this one here, it has a little symbol here, and this one has a symbol here and a symbol here. You'll notice those match these symbols down here. And basically, if you control that system, meaning you have strictly more spaceship power than whoever currently controls it, so nobody controlled it first, so they were able to just quickly claim these 2, you are able to place one of your discs on that star, and it increases your engine. Now, if somebody else came in, like if Blue comes in next with a 2, then they would replace yours. Yours would go back on, and they would put theirs on instead. This one, you can see both are there. They don't get both. They get to choose whether they want the population or the ore engine disk to place it, since they now own this one as well. They place the ore one, and so now they have both of those. Also, these, whenever you gain control, whenever you place a disk on it, you can see this little symbol here lets you take some sort of action. This one lets you gain a population. This one, when you control, lets you take one of your disks from way over here and put it in this column, which is kind of nice because then you have access to it more quickly. And so they will get to do both of those options. So this is a big turn for green. That's why, being the one to discover these level 2 and level 3 actions can be very valuable. I believe, yes, purple does the same thing. So purple then discovers this one. They have an event card. In this case, they choose, this one helps everybody, it looks like. Purple player chooses either level 1 or level 2, and then each faction can gain a ship of that power and place it into deep space. And then whoever drew this event can also upgrade their ship by 1 level afterwards. So it's just some extra ship power for everybody, and then for them specifically. So everybody gets a gain 2, which is nice. Puts into deep space. We're getting lots of ships out there. And then they get to upgrade 1. And now, based on this blue, they have 2 options for this new technology. They can either take this one, which just gives an immediate effect. This one's interesting. It lets them repeat the bonus of any level 2 cards, even if you don't have the technology. Or gain 2 ore and automate one of those. So when you specifically research that, it just happens once. You can choose one of those things that you do. This one the immediate action is to automate, or you can use this as another way to research a level 3. A lot of these technologies will give ways to research level 3, and these level 3 technologies will probably give cheaper ways to research level 4. They end up choosing that first one, getting some extra, probably getting the gain to automate is my guess. Oh no, they actually repeat what this layer is, because they want to basically take back control of those 2 ships that green already took. So they moved their stuff into, which had been upgraded. Now they took control of that. They get the green, the green disc goes back to that player. They get the purple here. They're going to put another purple there. They get the actions that happen on the control. So as you can see, these, again, it's good to, if as soon as you can, to upgrade these technologies. Now to do that, it's going to cost an extra ore, which okay, I probably end up doing anyway. But as you can see now, this is starting to build out this tech tree, and everybody has access to these techs. They just have to make sure they go through the proper path to do so. Everybody's kind of chosen their own path, but eventually you're going to want to get some of these other ones as well. All right, that is researching level 2 technology. Same for level 3. It's just different and better technologies. So finally, let's talk about the space and how to colonize a planet. Okay, we are a bit further down in the game. You can see a lot of stuff has happened. All of the level 2 technologies have been lifted, and a lot of people have researched multiple technologies along that path so that they can do it. Myself, I've gotten all of the level 1s, these level 2s, and a level 3 here. The thing that I wanted to mainly show you, though, is on this side. So you can see things, there's lots of ships around, lots of control changing hands. I forgot to mention that you can control these 3 planets as well. They don't really give you any benefit when you specifically when you control them, except you can put a disc on there, and you can deploy ships directly to those ships if you control them. So you can see on each of these cards there is that immediate effect when you control it. Then there's this little symbol here, which basically allows you to, it's a little kind of mountain type of symbol here. And you can see it down here as well. That lets you colonize that system if you have that power of ship or higher. So in this case, green has a 4. They also control it. You have to control the system in order to colonize it. So they could colonize this system. You have to actually take the action, though. In this case, it would cost 4 to colonize it, and a person. There's an action here where it only costs 4, and there's a few other places I'm sure that have popped up or that will pop up. Here's another one where you can pay only 3 to do it, so on and so forth. Then you get to take over that system. You get a couple benefits. First of all, you get to put an additional disc on it. In this case, you can choose which one because it has both available, but in one where it just has one type, you would just put another of that type on it. You get points for it. These typically are like 6 points for this, 5 for this, 5 for this. This one, it just depends on how many you colonize, plus 3. That's kind of how that works. And there's some sort of benefit that happens when you colonize it. So for example, well, this one doesn't have it, but this one here, when you colonize it, you gain a certain number of coal, depending on how many of these you've researched. So if I colonize this, then I would get 1, 2, 3, 4 coal because I've researched 4 of those. Or this one gives me an ongoing power, or gives an ongoing power. From now on, you can take 3 coal and turn it into a person just any time. You don't have to do it during production. You just can do it whenever. So they add different things. This one is just an immediate. You can take and get a person in Tukul, so forth, so on and so forth. So there's definitely benefits to colonizing it. And when you colonize it, it comes down here. You can see one's already been colonized. They now have 2 discs on it. They got this action to where during production they can do all 3, or people and resource trade. Well, that's kind of cool, right? And they get 5 points at the end. So I believe purple on this turn will be doing a colonization action. Oh, maybe I got that wrong. Well, do I? Oh, okay. Yeah, we both did. It's just BGA kind of did all that stuff for you. So you can see we both did that production, and it gave us those bonuses, and it put them in our, and we got the extra discs on there. There really wasn't much to do. We had the stuff for it. We controlled it, and then we gained the colony. Now all the ships that are on that colony, the ones that you use to colonize, they turn back into boxes, and the others, either extra ships that you didn't need to colonize it, or other people's ships go back to deep space. You can see a bunch have been pushed into deep space. So for instance, here, if they were to colonize it, this 4 would turn back into a 1, or it would turn back into a box. They wouldn't get the change there. But if they had a 3 and a 1, then the 3 would go and turn into a box, and the 1 would go back into deep space. And then this 3 will go back into deep space if they were to colonize this one as well. So you do spend the ships when you colonize it, and then they're replaced with a new system. Okay? And so we have all now colonized 1. You can see one of the main achievements is getting 4 systems. See, these, I believe these 2 are always going to be things that achievements, but these other 2 I think are change each game. So the game goes until 4 achievements are claimed, and then you get points based on your achievements. You get points for these cards. You get points as you move up your disc through automation. You can see those points there. You get points for things you research. So you can see, barely see, these get you 1 point. These each get you 2 points. I can't read it. I think it may be 3 and 5, or 2 and 3. No, I think it's 3, 5, and 7 points for it. But you get points for all of the ones that you research, and you get points for the achievements themselves. There's some extra points at the end for extra ships and resources and things you control, but that's the basic idea. You're going along, taking actions in order to research technologies. Oh, all of these level 4 ones, when you research those, will give you some sort of point benefit. They're never new actions. They're just new ways to score points, either straight points or based on other actions with it. So it's good to get these not only for the achievement, but for the points that they give as well. I know that's a lot, but just remember your basic turn structure. Take an action, move your action pawn to somewhere along this tech tree. Do the action to your production phase. Your goals are getting new technologies, trying to get down this track with all of your guys, and colonizing systems, moving enough ships in order to control and then colonize that system using this colonize action. You're also trying to build up this engine by automating more, so that every time you do a production action at the end of your action turn, in this case, if I do a person action, I would get this one and this one. I wouldn't get this because it's empty, so I would get 2 people, or I would get two ore. So the next disc I want to increase would probably be this one here, so that I can get 3 ore whenever I produce there. And then again, as soon as 4 achievements are met, game ends, and whoever has the most points wins. The setup's a little bit different for fewer players, especially with 2 players. The board looks a little different, but the same general principles apply. And there are options to give to more advanced modes to give each player a specific extra special power, and there are a few other advanced variants, but the basic has got plenty to it and will get you through that game pretty easily. All right, hope this was helpful. Thanks.